So, movie came out last year. I was not in a rush to see it. Heard decent things about it. Have now seen it. You know what? It's darn good. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Now, obviously, Puss in Boots has spun off from the Shrek franchise. He had a solo movie 11 years previously. I've seen it once. I barely remember a thing about it. It did not stick in my head at all. This will stick in my head pretty well. It's just really good. This is a movie I took my kiddo to see. She really liked it too, especially something that I'll get into a little bit more towards the back end. But narrative-wise, we have Puss at the end of his 9 lives. And his one shot at getting a new lease on, I was going to say lease on life, I guess lease on lives, is to find this wishing star and wish his life back. So that's what he's out to do. And it actually, while forming the backbone of just an adventure where you go out and try and get the treasure before other people get it, because there are multiple other people searching for the same thing. Even beyond that, it is ultimately about somebody coming to terms with their own mortality. Because Puss has had to realize he is going to die one day. And he hasn't had to think about that because he's had lives to spare. Now he doesn't. And now he's actually afraid. He's gotten to be reckless, fearless up to now. But suddenly, once death feels like an actual looming reality, instead of something that, at some point, maybe that'll be a thing. But not now. I'm good. Can't hold on to that forever. And I'm not reading that into it. That's actually very deliberately made clear over the course of the movie that that is ultimately what this is about. And it tackles those themes very, very well. I'm pretty impressed with this movie, storytelling-wise. The characters are great, too. We've got Puss back. We've also got Kitty Softpaws, who I guess was also in the previous movie, voiced by Salma Hayek, who's actually pretty good with voice work. I wouldn't necessarily have called that because, obviously a lot of her presence on screen is, well, her presence. She has amazing just way of holding the camera, and I would not necessarily have called that she could bring so much across with just a voice, but she does. And obviously the two of them have fantastic chemistry together. They've worked together for a long time in various projects. So she's great. There's this little dog, Perrito. Oh, he might be my favorite. He's fantastic. Goldilocks and the Three Bears I love. They're kind of this Cockney criminal gang. They're terrific. Jack Horner, like from the nursery rhyme, little Jack Horner sat in the corner, stuck in his thumb, pulled out a plum, all that stuff. He's a pretty solid villain. The sort of spoiled, could own the world and would never be happy. And again, it hammers that theme pretty hard and pretty directly, but also pretty well. I think, in a way, one of the criticisms you often get with media aimed at kids is that it's being just so blunt and so straightforward with what it's doing. But honestly, I think you get away with that a little bit more when you are choosing to tackle themes and ideas that are a little bit more mature than you often get in children's media. So I wouldn't say all of this is especially subtle, but it's incredibly well handled. And then there's the wolf. The wolf who is hunting down Puss. He is terrifying. Part of what's great is his actual character design. He's a wolf in a cloak. Like that's it. Straightforward. He's not designed visually to be monstrous, but he is shot and he is framed and he is presented as monstrous. Like the camera treats him like a horror movie villain. He's great. I'm going to talk a little bit more about him a little later on, too, because there's some spoiler stuff that I want to tackle here. But visually, it's really good. They did an interesting thing where they kind of, you could tell that in an ideal world, if this was a truly standalone story and it wasn't a spinoff from Shrek that already had another entry in it, they probably would have redesigned the whole visual look a bit more than they did. But it is overall visually consistent with the stuff that Puss in Boots has been in before, until we get to the action scenes where it gets much more stylized and feels a bit more reminiscent of something like Into the Spider-Verse. And it's so cool. And part of me was like, I kind of wish the whole movie looked like that. But on the other hand, first of all, I get maintaining the visual consistency. But even aside from that, having the action scenes be in a slightly modified visual style made them stand out all the more. Because like when something especially has an overabundance of action scenes, it's not too hard to just be like, oh, okay, another action scene, here we go. But with the visual snap of how that shifts, no, you're like, no, I'm paying attention. It's really good. It's really fun. It's quite funny. It's touching. It's got a really good understanding of its characters. It handles its themes shockingly well. It's visually gorgeous. I think the movie it reminds me of from DreamWorks' back catalog the most is the original Kung Fu Panda. Not in the direct themes or anything that it's doing, but in the sense that it is one of the best action movies of the last couple of years, animated or otherwise. It just is. And it's a movie that the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, that wasn't just pretty good. That was actually really good. And it's one that I think I'm going to enjoy rewatching, because I know I definitely did with that first Kung Fu Panda movie. So that is the general stuff. I do need to talk just a little bit spoilers. So if you've already seen it, stick around. Or if you don't care, like, I am recommending most people see this. It's just good. It's just good. It handles some darker stuff, but with just the right light touch that it works for kids. But the more mature theming will have it more of an appeal for adults. Even if you don't have kids of your own, it's just good. It's just good. Gotta do spoilers now. So the wolf, aka death, as in literally death. Not metaphorically, not thematically. As he puts it, death straight up. I love this idea. Actually, let me backtrack. I don't love this idea. I love this execution. Because first of all, you have to justify, why does Death care about this one cat? Well, there's the basics. He's a wolf. He's not a big fan of cats. He doesn't like the whole 9 lives thing. Like, okay, but why this cat? Well, because he swans about like he's immortal, and he does not see the value in the life and the time that he has. He just swaggers on through like none of it matters beyond the glory that he gets. He doesn't appreciate his own life. And Death is fed up with him. I've been watching you through 8 lives already, and you have squandered every one of them. I'm done. I'm done waiting for you. I'm taking you out now. Enough. And I get it. But how do you beat that? I mean, you can't have a character literally defeat death. That undermines the very concept of death. But he can't win. He knows he can't. And he doesn't. And he tells him, I know I can't defeat you, but I will never stop fighting for this life. And Death lets him go because he has come to understand the value of his own life. And as the wolf says to him, I came here for an immortal legend. I don't see him anymore. Puss has changed. He's not the person that Death came for. So Death leaves, but is also very quick to say, you will see me again. And Puss knows that. He has come to terms with his own mortality. Doesn't mean he's ready to die now, but he accepts that he's going to one day. And knowing that means that this life is precious. That's great theming. Like I said before, he's masterfully shot in the fight scenes with him, especially. Oh, so good. It's so good. And then we get the extra stuff with the reinforcement of family theming with Goldie and the bears. And I predicted that storyline pretty early on. It still choked me up a bit. It was fantastically delivered. This movie is so much better than it has any right to be. Like in the last one, I don't remember it being bad. It just didn't stick in my head. And I like Puss as a character. But this, visually stunning, wonderfully acted, terrific writing, excellent villains, amazing action. This is really good. If it's still in theaters near you, I really hope that you have seen it. But in any case, whatever your thoughts are on this movie at all, and on any of the other Shrek movies, heck, why not? Second one is the best one of those proper. This might be the best movie of the franchise, though. I'd have to think on that, but it might be. Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and is how I make my living. Any amount you're able to support me is of great assistance. Even if you can't, like, share, subscribe also help me out. But don't worry too much about it. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can come on back next time you need a break. Well, it's Patreon supporter shout-out time, folks. So thank you to Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfulla, Tarak, The Thing That Goes Doink in the Anime, Oliver B., Angus Bjarnason, Linda Walters, Emu Delkey, Leotha Boyd, Toy Lowly, Becky Spark, Bernabilax the Poodle, Zach, Tracy Scrabbit, General Contact Unit Problem Child, Angry Casperl, Tim Price, Adam R.D.L. Taylor, Shayla Gourlay, and Brendan LaRose. Thanks so much for your help. You can get your name read out too. Check out the rewards in the Patreon. Is that what they should do? Should they check the Patreon?